Astrology can offer you a lot of important insights, and with this video I'm going to give you tips on how to know where you will meet your significant other, what the 7th house ruler has to say, and how to figure it all out. Let's dive in. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive astrology. If you enjoy my content, you like my work, please take a second to support me by leaving a like or a comment, subscribing, and pressing the notification bell. It really helps. And you can also say thank you by buying me a coffee. I really appreciate that as well. Before we dive in, if you'd like to understand your natal chart better, you want to understand yourself better and get answers to some of your important questions. For example, where will I meet? When will I meet my significant other? What is the right career for me? What is my karmic purpose? Do not hesitate to book a reading with me at anastasia.astrology.com. You can also get a predictive reading, like a year ahead forecast, to know more about what's coming up for you. On my website, you can also check out the store, the shop section, and find the candles and oils that I create to help you maximize the positive transits, to help you improve your life and make your relationships, make your career, make your energy feel happier and more potent. So for example, Venus in Libra 2 is perfect for this video, I think, as it's the candle that highlights the Venus in rulership, the sign of Libra. It smells like honeysuckle jasmine, and it's decorated with amethyst stones to help align the candle to the nature of Venus. It can help you improve your relationships, bring more harmony, peace, and accord into your life, and potentially even attract someone, have a happy date, and improve your relationship. This is a great remedy for anyone born with their Venus in Virgo, Scorpio, or Aries, the sign that Venus struggles in more than others. If your Venus is in one of the dark houses 6th, 8th, or 12th, if it's making difficult aspects to Saturn, Mars, Pluto, or Uranus. On my website, you can still find a couple of Venus in Libra 1 candles left. This one is rose scented and has copper foil on it, which is the metal of Venus, and it has similar properties, just a different scent and different chart overall, but it still highlights the powerful Venus. So thank you for listening to that. So let's talk about this video and how this video works. First of all, if you do not know your chart, you do not know your ascendant or 7th house, there's a calculator down there for you to find it. First of all, I would ask you to start with your rising sign. Most people know their rising sign. If you don't, check out the calculator. Then you look at the sign opposite, your descendant sign. So if you are, let's say you're an Aries rising, your descendant will be Libra. If you are a Scorpio rising, your descendant will be Taurus. It's always the sign opposite on the wheel. The next step would be to find the ruler of your descendant sign or your 7th house. So I'm a traditional astrologer. I use traditional lords. You can refer to this table to help you find the ruler of that sign and that house. For example, once again, if you are an Aries, you start with your rising. Your 7th house will be Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus. If you are a Taurus rising and your descendant is Scorpio, Scorpio is ruled by Mars. Once again, I'm a traditional astrologer. I use Mars over Pluto, but if you follow modern astrology and you see your Leo rising, you see 7th house Aquarius, and you want to listen, you want to find out Uranus and listen to that, no problem. So once you've figured out which planet is in charge, if you're Aries, then it's Libra, your 7th house, Venus is in charge, you see which house the planet is placed. For example, in this image that I'm showing you, you can see that, if this person is a Cancer rising, right, their 7th house is Capricorn. So Capricorn is traditionally ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is placed in the 4th house. So then you are going to listen for the 7th house ruler in the 4th house. I hope it helps. I hope this made sense. Definitely listen to it again if it doesn't make sense, and maybe take breaks, kind of pause as you do every single step. But yeah, to sum up, first of all, find your rising sign, then figure out the sign opposite it, your descendant sign. For Aries, it would be Libra, for Cancer, Capricorn, etc. It's always opposite. 3, find the ruler of that sign, the descendant 7th house sign, and then find out which house that ruler is in. And you can do so by, once again, looking at your chart and either counting it, looking at the numbers inside the chart, or counting from the ascendant. Ascendant would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Or the calculator I'm giving you, it will tell you. If you scroll down over there, it will tell you. So, okay, now that we've discussed the background of it, let's talk about the ruler of the 7th house through the houses and what that means for where you will meet your partner. Starting with the 7th house ruler in your 1st house. So this tends to be quite lucky, usually, because that suggests that other people are reaching out to you. And other people could mean your business partners, but we're talking about romantic interests. So it suggests that your romantic partner is finding you. They will approach you. You don't have to, you'll be around. 1st house is all about you, your body, your health. So you can find them at the gym while you're exercising. You can find them at the bar. I actually have a client who is a Leo rising with Saturn, the ruler of her 7th house, in Leo. And her husband ended up approaching her on the 1st or 2nd day of her vacation in Hawaii and chatted her up. And they ended up getting married, and she moved to Hawaii because of him. So a lot of times it's a sign that you naturally invite relationships. You may also attract people who are quite similar to you. They have similar, that's why when I say you meet them while you're doing your rounds or you're at the gym, because the ruler of the 7th being the 1st is suggestive that they are very similar to you. They have similar interests. They go to the same grocery store. They go to the same bar. You guys are quite aligned. They're also quite likely to be quite sort of taken by you. 1st house, like I said, represents your health. So when you're doing sort of health related things, you may meet them, even when you're going to the doctor potentially. But maybe that is more 7th house lord in the 6th house. But maybe, you're going shopping, you're going jogging, you're doing your thing, you're changing your hairstyle, and on the way to the hair appointment, they approach you. So, like I said, it's quite a lovely placement for just going out, looking pretty, and having them come your way. And let me know how this resonates, if this is your placement. Have you been noticing that? And if you ever want to know more about the rest of your chart, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Next, we have 7th house ruler in the 2nd house. So 7th house ruler being in the 2nd house is suggestive of your partner being very financially oriented. So that could suggest that you meet them while doing financial procedures. Just a sec. They're your accountant and you're coming to them to do taxes, and you strike up a conversation and you become involved. You can meet them at the bank. You can meet them while paying your bills. You can meet them at work, which is also quite likely because 2nd house represents money you make. So if you and them are kind of both making money at the same place, you're also more likely to meet them doing that. They could be a business person, so maybe you're meeting them while you're needing business advice. Maybe they're some kind of consultant. 2nd house oftentimes represents financial advisors. 2nd house can also deal with values, and someone who has very similar values to you, and maybe you meet because you go to the same church, or you go to the same accountant, and you meet at that place of business. But a lot of times it would be some kind of financial institution, financial organization. Of course, these days a lot of people meet online, but I think in the days and in situations where you meet people in real life, this could be more of a situation. And yeah, I think, they can definitely be very financially savvy, financially oriented. So even if you haven't met them in that kind of situation, they will have a big impact on your resources. If your 7th house ruler is in the 3rd house, this is a sign of dating a neighbor. The 3rd house represents your neighborhood, so your local environment, the streets you walk every day. So meeting them at a local bar, at a coffee shop, even at the library is quite likely. They can be literally your neighbor. They can be living in the house right next door, living down your street. They can be your sibling's friend, because third house represents siblings. So meeting them through a brother or sister is quite likely. Maybe it's their classmate and they hang out doing homework at your place and you chat up and start dating them. You may meet them, like I said, in the neighborhood. Maybe you go to like the same store, or you go to a town hall meeting and they're just like there right next to you. Third house is also the place of early education. So for some of you, it might mean that you have met them in your kindergarten and maybe you've separated and you haven't seen them for a long time, but then you ended up connecting with them again. Third house rules local travel and sort of short trips. So meeting them on the subway platform, on the subway train is also quite likely while you're going to the store, going to work. You can meet them at the gas station. You can meet them while dealing with your car because of that kind of similar energy of short trips. Third house also represents like technology sometimes and communication. So if you're going to like the Apple store nearby to fix your phone, they're either a tech support person or they're fixing their own phone. And like the biggest kind of message here is that you will likely meet them while doing your rounds, while communicating, while connecting with people around you. And even maybe it's you telling a neighbor that you're dating and they set you up. Another possibility here could be, I mentioned like sort of short trips and short travel, but because the ruler of the seventh house becomes 9 houses away from its place. So basically, if you count from the 7 to get to the 3rd, you need to do 9. Starting with the 7th is 1, 8th, 2, etc. It could also suggest a foreign partner, maybe someone you meet in your neighborhood, but maybe they are of a foreign nationality. So let me know if you have already met someone, if this resonates, and if you want to know more, you can always book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. If your 7th house ruler is in the 4th house, which is the example I gave at the start of this video, that suggests that you are likely to be with someone who shares a hometown with you. Someone who maybe comes from your hometown, or somebody who has very like similar upbringing. You may be meeting them through a family member. A lot of times this could also be like a sign of like, a traditional sort of like arranged marriage, if that is part of your culture, because like 4th house is family. So family literally influences who you meet, who you marry. They can also be somehow very similar to your parent, right? They might be in your dad's business, for example, or like they work for your dad and you meet them that way through a parent, basically. You can meet them through real estate procedures, like if you're looking to buy a home and they are checking your home, like a home inspector, or they are a real estate agent, or they're a plumber coming to fix your home is a possibility. And I think it's also quite likely that you meet them at a house party, right? If anything, if everything else fails, just like in the home type scenario. It's not necessarily like an outside type connection unless they are involved with your family and they are part of your family business, then that's a possibility. If you'd like to know more, if you want me to take a look at your entire chart and give you insights, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. It's always a good time to have a professional astrologer look at your chart. Next, if your 7th house ruler is in the 5th house. 5th house is the place of pleasure, fun, creative self-expression, children, and romance. So what does it mean if the Lord of the 7th house is in the 5th house? Well, it could suggest that you meet them while doing pleasurable activities, whatever is pleasurable to you. You go dancing, you meet them at the club, you go to a favorite bar, you go to a spa, and they're there, right? It's also the house of creativity. So your partner can be quite creative with this placement. So you may meet them at a show, right? Maybe they're a painter, and so it's their show. Maybe they are on social media, they have like a channel with art and you reach out to them and you start talking. Maybe they're an actor and you meet them at, like after their performance, or you are having a party and they come in as an entertainer and you strike up a conversation and you start dating them. It's also the house of children, 5th house. So you can meet them, funny enough, you can meet them at a children's party. Maybe you meet them at the kindergarten if you are a single parent, let's say, or they are your kid's teacher. All of that is a possibility too. I think you are just someone who's like a very romantic with this placement. You are, you like want true love, you want true romance. And so the partner you end up with will reciprocate that and will feel the same way. And so it is already, I think, quite a good foundation if you meet them while doing fun things, because it's likely that they will enjoy doing the same things as you. And they can definitely be quite like sort of creative, even famous and known for something. If you'd like to know more, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com for me to look at all of your chart together. Next, we have 7th house ruler in the 6th house. So here we have the ruler of the 7th, 12th house is away, which could also be an indicator of a foreign partner, someone you meet while traveling, someone you meet while working with a foreigner. Your kind of like foreign connection is quite likely. But also 6th house is the place of work. It's the place of service, health, diet, doctors, problem solving, pets. So any of those activities can be involved in you meeting your partner. So let's start with work, right? They can be your colleague. You are both working in the same restaurant, you're working at the same company, you meet them at your office because they are in the same career. Because it's the house of diet and fitness, you can meet them at the gym, you can meet them at a grocery store. It's also the house of like doing your rounds, going grocery shopping. They can be your nutritionist, they can be your doctor. You can meet them at the doctor's office, or they can be your, literally, your doctor, or someone you meet at the gym. They can also be a lawyer, because 6th house is the place, like I said, busy with problem solving. So meeting them through a different issue maybe, and then starting to date them is a possibility. Because it's the house of pets. They can be a veterinarian, or they can be your dog walker, or you have a dog walking business and you walk their dog. Maybe like you meet them somehow, or you even like meet them while walking your dog outside in the park. The dog becomes like a crucial sort of part of the connection. Because it's the house of like doing kind of chores, I can also see you connecting with them while doing your chores. So you're out paying bills, you're going to the bank, you're doing laundry, you're buying food, and you can meet them while doing any of those kind of things. So this is my take in terms of where you can possibly be meeting this person. If you already met them, let me know. And if you'd like to know more and you want me to look at the rest of your chart, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Next, we have 7th house ruler in the 7th house. So this is quite lovely for your partner because it suggests a certain like strength to them, because most of the time it will be the planet in the sign the planet rules. So it could suggest that your partner is like very strong, and maybe they tend to lead the relationship. They have strong values, strong morals, strong kind of core to them. Strong core physically. If you punch them in the gut, they're strong. Don't punch them in the gut, but I'm just saying. So the ruler of the 7th in the 7th is likely that you're going to meet them at their space, right? Their home. You come to their house. You meet them inside their car because they are your Uber driver, your Lyft driver. 7th house represents marriage and contract. So it is also quite likely that you will meet them at a wedding, right? Or if you're getting divorced, they can be your divorce attorney, for example, and you just jump from one relationship to another. They can be someone you are in a contractual obligation with or contractual relationship with, because that's another sign of the 7th house. Someone who, is your like contract lawyer or your business partner. Like business relationship can turn into a romantic relationship, and vice versa, quite likely actually. So yeah, it's like a very positive sign for a relationship, but maybe because it's the seventh house lord in the seventh house, like they're a lot of times more self-contained versus when it's in your first house and they come to you. Here, a lot of times you may have to come to them, right? You may have to be the one to approach them, but you're likely to see them and sort of, instantly feel connected to them. Because whenever someone's planet falls in our seventh house, we see them as a really good partner, as a really good example of what we find attractive. If you'd like to know more, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com for me to answer your other questions about career, money, home, etc., or even do a predictive reading. Next, we have seventh house lord in the eighth house. So eighth house is a very interesting place. It holds a lot, right? So sit down, get comfortable, get some popcorn. First of all, eighth house represents other people's money and places that hold other people's money. So the bank, right? A scholarship office, some kind of like contractual HR type office, like anywhere you go to negotiate and figure things out. It is also the house of death and inheritance. So sometimes you can meet them at a funeral or at a funeral home. Not, of course, the rosy and beautiful place to meet, but if it's, one thing is ending, when life is ending, another relationship and possibly a future new life beginning, I don't see why that would be wrong. They could be your inheritance lawyer or some kind of like lawyer that helps you figure out your finances, your financial advisor, your accountant. Meeting them through your accountant is quite a possibility. Anyone, sort of, even someone who works with other people's money or who works with their cars or who works with their resources, and you meet them through that, right? Like you bring your car to get serviced and they are working there. Or you meet them, you meet them online and they're doing that kind of thing is quite likely. Eighth house is also the place of like unpredictable events. So a lot of times your partner can have unpredictable work hours. So you may meet them because you're like hungry late at night and you go to a grocery store and they work there. Or you meet them because you have to go to the emergency room and they are the emergency room on-call doctor. Eighth house is also the place of mysteries and mystics. So your significant other could be a tarot reader, an astrologer, a sexual healer, a Reiki healer, and maybe you find out and you meet them because you have, reached out to them for help, and then they become your more than just a helper. They can also be your therapist. Like I said, like eighth house is the place of like give and take, energetic exchanges with other people. So I can see this, I can definitely see your partner being quite good at working with energy and working with other people and helping other people, and you meeting them through that. Let me know how this resonates, and if you'd like to know more, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com to ask me other questions. Next, we have the seventh house ruler in the ninth house. This is a fun one, right? Like ninth house is the place of education. So you are drawn to people who are well educated. You can meet them through your school. They can be your teacher, right? Or they can be your classmate. They can be someone who works in education if you also work in education. So meeting them at the university as a teacher or a colleague or a classmate. You're also attracted to well-traveled people. You're attracted to foreign people. So meeting them while on a foreign trip, meeting them while while studying a foreign language, while going to a group of like Francophiles, and you meet them there. You meet them on vacation. You meet them on at a foreign exchange program at the university. This could also be quite, to be honest, like ninth house could be online dating because it's like far away. Your partner is like foreign or far away, where you do like a mail order bride type thing, or even just like you meet them on a website that connects foreign people. Ninth house deals with legal matters. So once again, this could be your lawyer, this could be your publisher, this could be your writing partner or someone you meet through writing. Maybe, the whole like foreign thing could be a sign of like you are working with them as part of your job. Let's say you work in education, and they're a professor of like French language and you're trying to get a French native speaker. So someone who is like foreign and comes to you through either travel or education or foreign connection or writing, publishing is likely. It's also, ninth house actually is a very philosophical place. It's a place of religion, faith. So for some, you might meet them at a place of that like philosophy, religion, at a church, temple, mosque, anything like that is likely. Or they could be themselves quite spiritual, religious figure. If you'd like to know more, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Next, we have 7th house ruler in the 10th house, and your partner is likely to be quite a workaholic. They are very ambitious, they're very hardworking, and you may meet them, you're very likely to meet them at work or through your work, right? If you meet them at work, maybe they're your boss, maybe they are your partner, maybe they're your colleague. If you meet them through work, maybe they are a lawyer who works with your company or an advisor or anything like that. You in general will find people who are successful really attractive. So you may go for famous people. Maybe you message somebody on Instagram and they reach back and you start talking to them. You're looking for like people in the position of leadership, authority. It's also very likely, you know, that your partner is maybe like a famous person of some sort, like they're somehow known, somehow visible. So maybe they wrote a book and you go to a book signing and you start talking to them. Or maybe they're an actor and you approach them after the play, or a musician, you approach them after the show. So you more than other people are likely to sort of meet a celebrity figure and marry someone who is at the very least is successful at what they do. Last but not least, I can also see this being a friend of a parent, because like 10th house is opposite the 4th. A lot of times 10th and 4th are assigned mother and father figures. People don't agree as far as which one's which, but it's definitely, a lot of times it's more like a mother, so they can be your mother's friend, or they can be your father's friend, right? Let's not discriminate. But yeah, they could be somehow connected to like a family business, to your parents, to maybe like connection of a parent is a possibility here. Next, we have 7th house ruler in the 11th house. 11th house represents friendships. So here you're potentially can turn a friendship into a relationship. You really want a partner who's also a friend. So maybe you've been friends for a while, or you've been in the same circle and you end up dating. You can also meet them through your friend. Let's say at the friend's birthday party or their wedding. You can meet them at a networking event. A lot of times 11th house represents not just friendships, but groups of people we belong with, collectives, allies, right? Like people of the same age, people who go to the same gym, people who go to soul cycles. You may meet them at that same group that you belong to, sort of like communal quality, right? They're part of your commune. They're part of the same kind of group. So colleagues, classmates, fitness fiends. Can you say fitness fiend? People who are like in love with the same type of activity that you do. You can meet them online. 11th house is the place of social media. So maybe you strike up a conversation in the comments section of a post about cats and you both find out that you like cats and you start talking. It is also 11th house a lot of times is the place of community in terms of like volunteering organizations, nonprofit organizations. So if you are working with those nonprofits, or you're volunteering, or you are going to like a public protest, you might meet them there as well. And finally, 11th house represents your dreams. And so on a more like general esoteric level, you can be meeting them while you're going out there and reaching your dreams, which would be different for different people. For some, it might be becoming a yoga teacher and you meet them at a yoga retreat because they're also into yoga. For others, it might mean going to a singing competition and they're your fellow singer, or you're an actor and you meet them while following your dreams to be a famous actor. So that's quite a possibility here too. Now, if your 7th house lord is in the 12th house, let's talk about that. This is my placement. Woohoo! Maybe I shouldn't tell you, but it is. So 7th house lord in the 12th house. This is a bit more complicated, let's say, but doesn't have to be. Like 12th house is the dark house. So because the first house is you, of course, if your first house lord is in the first house and your seventh house lord, sorry, your first house lord is in the 12th and your seventh house lord is in the 12th, they are hanging out in the same space. But a lot of times your first house lord may be somewhere else, and then you don't see from the ascendant, you don't see the 12th house. So the partner can be a little bit more mysterious, a little bit more hard to figure out. There may be in a foreign place. This is quite likely with this placement, meeting them abroad. You have to leave the place of comfort and you have to travel abroad to find them. You can meet them 12th house. Let's get the negative stuff out of the way, right? The 12th house has long represented places of turmoil, hospitals, prisons, and mental asylums. Therapists, right? Therapist is a more light one, but you can meet them well at the hospital, anywhere you're feeling sort of isolated, where you are, like you're at a hospital by yourself, or you just went through you got out of prison and you meet them because they are your, what is that called? The officer that you talk to after you get out of prison, or you meet them while you're both kind of going through some kind of crisis. They can be your therapist. So the negative here, right, is that they may have some kind of destructive tendencies, because 12th house is the place of self-undoing. So you might meet them through either working through your destructive tendencies, or you're someone who helps those people, right? You work in a prison, you work in a mental hospital, you work at a hospital, right? Mental asylum. So these are more negative. Please don't get discouraged. I never dated anyone who got out of prison or someone from a mental asylum, but I definitely dated people who had destructive qualities to them, right? Kind of unhealthy escapist or unhealthy coping strategies. So now the more positive, right? The more positive possibility here is that your partner is hidden because they're introverted. They're not someone who goes out knocking on the ladies' doors and asking everyone out. They're more private. So once again, you can meet them while traveling. You can meet them through a therapist, or they can be your therapist. You can meet them at an ashram, a spiritual retreat. 12th house is the place of shedding your chains and releasing old beliefs. So if you're going to a yoga retreat, you're going to a Reiki retreat, anything like that, you're likely to find them there. It's very, very definitely a spouse who's foreign, spiritual, imaginative, so you can meet them through any of those kind of activities. Your relationship can have a little bit of a secret, quiet, private element. And they can also be quite a creative individual, but very introspective, introverted. I think, if they have overcome a lot, they're likely to be someone who overcame a lot. Then they become really spiritual. If they are still working through their challenges, they can be potentially on the negative, a little bit more escapist. So this is my take on the 7th house lord in the 12th house. If you feel like you're struggling with love and this is your placement, book a reading with me. We'll compare notes. We'll talk about the advice I can give you. Highly recommend checking out my Venus in Libra 1 or 2 tools and getting a reading with me. So do not hesitate to reach out. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. I have made a video where I talk about what your partner looks like. So definitely check that one out, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.